The new expansion came out less than 24 hours ago, but we already actually have some really good stats from hsreplay.net, and we can look at what are the working archetypes so far. I'm gonna give you guys 5 really good decks so far, but it goes without saying that you shouldn't be wasting your dust this early, and also, even if you pick a busted deck, it might actually be too busted, and it might get nerfed really soon after. And for all the people saying, so what, you're gonna get a refund? Well, good luck with getting a refund from your common cards after you had to craft some legendaries for it. Anyway, if you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. And also don't forget you can hire me for some Hearthstone coaching. Now, let's check out the decks.
You are not prepared!
The first deck on the list is actually gonna be Outcast Demon Hunter, and not many people actually believe that Demon Hunter is gonna be good in this expansion, but it goes to show that Fury crafting does not show you everything. I did face Outcast Demon Hunter quite a few times on ladder last night, and it did feel pretty strong, especially when they got to tempo out a bunch of Vengeful Wallopers. The deck has a lot of tokens in it, and a lot of Outcast synergies obviously. It's running the new legendary Helveria here, which is pretty good with all the rushed synergies. You get to discount a ton with your Sage, you have Lady Steno with all of your cheap spells to do nasty things, and the new Rowdy Fan also feels pretty amazing here, because she's a very sticky minion, and the effect is also pretty nice. We're also running the new weapon, which draws you a ton of cards, sometime a bit too many cards honestly. And you also have the Wretched Exile, which gives you tons of extra gas. From the matchups I had with this deck, it felt extremely fast, it generated a lot of stuff, and it cheated out a lot of things super early, so it's definitely a pretty strong deck. For other good Demon Hunter decks so far, we also have an aggro variant, which also has a decent stat so far, but not that many games, so it's gonna take a while to see if it actually sticks. Next up we have Blood Death Knight, which is also having crazy good win rates, and I'm assuming that's due to the fact that everybody's trying new things, mostly aggro, and Blood Death Knight just wrecks all of them. The archetype definitely received quite a few extra goodies, including Ghost Rider, which is gonna be insanely good for it, discovering tons of extra stuff, because we all know Death Knights really love discovering because they have such a small and consistent pool. They're also running the new weapon, which helps them build a big guy while actually controlling the board early, which was something they weren't too good in the past. And they also have the Screaming Banshee, which is absolutely insane, and if you combo this off with something like Vampiric Blood with 3 corpses, you're actually summoning 2 5/5s like that, which is pretty crazy. Also, you gotta be really careful how you deal with the board, because if you don't kill this first and actually attack into a lifesteal minion, and the opponent is missing health, it's gonna summon extra minion for him. But yeah, other than that, the deck is pretty much the same, aside from Tour Guide also being here, cause the hero power is just that good. On the number 3 spot, we also have a Face Hunter doing quite strong, and it's also running the new Mr. Mukla as well as Pazik, which did seem like a weird card, but it does definitely have a lot of merit to it. We're also running the new weapon in here, which is basically a 8 damage on a stick, but it also gives you a nice little boost, especially if you actually combo a bunch of spells with it. We're also running things like Naga Pride, the Barrel of Monkeys, as well as the Bunch of Bananas. The new Musician is in here, Vicious Litter Spear is super aggressive in here as well. The new Arrowsmith also helps a lot with the board. Doggy Biscuit is still in the deck. And we also have Raj to combo off with a bunch of spells. We're also running the good Wild Seed package, so you can have some pretty good boards. For other good Hunter decks, we also have the Big Beast Hunter, which is also doing fairly well, but it's a very expensive deck, so be careful crafting it. There's also a different variant of Face Hunter, with things like Queen Ashara, and it's actually not running King Mukla, but I'm not sure about that, even though the win rate is very high for it, the sample size is very small. On the number 4 spot we also have Pure Paladin, which is also a solid deck, and it's pure and simple. Get it? Pure? Hilarious. Either way, the deck definitely lost quite a few very good cards, but it also gained quite a few good ones, so it's not that big a loss. There are several ways you can be building Pure Paladin right now, but they're all mostly aggro, and this one had the good stats to go for it too. Hand of Adult came back in the core set, so that's pretty nice for the deck, and we also have the new Disco Mall, which fits perfectly here. Argent Protector makes your board even stickier. The new Boogie Down is also in here, which helps you thin out your deck nice and easily. And let's not forget your 1-drops are not exactly having 1-drop stats, so not only are you thinning out the deck, but you're also putting down very annoying minions to deal with. Funkfin is also in here, and the new Jitterbug as well, which helps you draw a ton of cards. And let's not forget it's also a beast, so nowadays, with the Purator, you're no longer guaranteed Light Ray is gonna be drawing like that for you. It's a little bit weird we're no longer running Order in the Court, which did feel pretty amazing in the deck, but let's not forget the main benefit for that was that you actually play it for 0 mana from your free one, which is no longer in Standard. Like I said, we have several variants of Pure Paladin, and there's also this Dancing Paladin, which doesn't have too big a sample size, and the win rate is not anything special either. But as you can see, all of the aggressive Pure Paladins have crazy good stats, so you probably can't go wrong with the aggressive archetype. And on the number 5 spot, we also have Unholy Death Knight, which is basically pretty much the same thing, but we are having a few new inclusions, so it's still worth checking out. Obviously Death Knight didn't lose anything, but it did gain quite a few good cards like Rowdy Fan again, and also the Nerubian Egg fits perfectly here, so you can have great targets for your locations. We're also running a couple of Naval Mines, which feels a little bit odd honestly, but when you come to think of it, with Death Growl, it can be insanely strong. So yeah, definitely worth having powerful death rattles like the Mine and the Eggs. The rest of the deck is pretty much standard Unholy Death Knight, and you still have the crazy good Hawkstrider Rancher, but you're actually no longer running the 1-freeze, which is definitely feeling a little bit odd to me. And I would be looking into adding the 1-freeze instead of, let's say, a school teacher or something, but definitely needs the taunts if you ask me. For other good Death Knight decks, we also have Frost Aggro Death Knight doing very well, but it's only running the new Hardcore Cultist, and everything else is pretty much the same, so it's not exactly a new deck, but it's definitely worth checking out. There's also a completely different Unholy Death Knight out there, which is having actually surprisingly good stats for what it is, and it looks like a Menagerie Unholy Death Knight, which is definitely pretty weird, and surely it's gonna feel really fresh. And also we have Rainbow Death Knight at the end, which is not having amazing stats so far, despite the 10 mana spell looking this good. For the classes we didn't mention, surprisingly Hero Power Druid wasn't as amazing as people thought, even though it had tons of support. So far we have a 56% win rate with a very small sample size, so it's early to say if it's actually that good or bad, but at least it's positive, so it has that going for it. There's also a Tony Druid out there with a 52% win rate, but that's about it. With mages, Light Show Mage was supposed to be the flavor of the expansion from the Fury crafts at least, but as you can see, actually Mech Mage is the one that took the meta by storm so far. I did try the deck in top 200 and it didn't feel too special, but apparently from Diamond to Legend is gonna be decent. For priests, Undead Priest is still probably the best bet for the class, even though it's not as amazing as it used to be. I tried it, it definitely lacks the 1-free, and you're no longer favored against control decks like that, but it is what it is. There's also this new Thief Priest out there, which is also feeling very decent, so you have options there as well. With rogues, surprisingly Miracle Rogue is not even showing just yet, but there is this new Pirate Rogue out there, which is doing alright. For Shaman, Totem Shaman is actually crazy good as well, and maybe I should have featured it into the top 5. But I guess you can check out my gameplay video with it, which is basically the same deck, but instead of one of the Gorlock Ravagers, I slapped in a Bloodlust that definitely felt like it's the correct pick. We also have one with the Amalgam in it, but so far the Big Shaman does not seem to be working as good. For Warlocks, Fatigue Imp Warlock is not doing super amazing so far apparently, and Thaddeus Warlock is also barely above 50. And again, people were crazy about Warlock and saying it's gonna be busted, but so far that doesn't seem to be the case. And for Warrior, so far sadly it barely has a 52% win rate Menagerie deck, but the Control Warrior so far is in the dust. So that's gonna be it for this top 5 guys. Hope this helps you figure out what you want to be playing in the early days of the new meta. It goes without saying that you shouldn't be wasting your dust this early, and even if you pick something that's actually really good, it might get nerfed soon. If you're serious about Hearthstone, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching, I'm Chris05 and I'll see you in my next video, or stream.